And so in the face of all of this chaos, do not in any way lose focus. We're still into the first 60 days of the year 2025. How are you? Check yourself. I mean, forget about the IBB talk. Forget about the politics of this country. How much is in your pocket? How much wealth have you created? How much foundation have you created in this year that would, at the end of the year, make you feel like, you know what, it's been a fine year. What have you done? And what are you intending to do? I mean, these are questions you should be asking yourself at least now that we're within 60 days of the year. It's still a very brand new year. So that's certain things that can be done for you. So we would, for the next 25 minutes, discuss wealth creation in times like this. We have with us live in the studio, Ifenna Aralu is a wealth creator, a wealth creation and development expert. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
So wealth creation, when you hear wealth creation, the first thing that comes to mind is investments. The other one is savings. And then there's a Nigerian economy that doesn't even think through these things. Because again, if you were looking to save monies, say from 2023, since this president took over office, I'm sure that that mindset would have been changing a little bit because of how the economy dwindled rapidly right on our very eyes. How do Nigerians react to things like this? Especially now that on a very good day, you are buying things triple the amount. You're talking about feeding, you're talking about clothing, you're talking about rents. Everything have tripled right under our noses. So how do you even think of creating wealth when you haven't even eaten?
Well, okay. Thank you so much for that question. You know, I've actually explored so many things with respect to wealth creation, and I would want to state here that, you know, in the darkest hour of your life, that is when you should shine the light. You know, and you find out that, you know, from the Holy Book, you see that light came out from darkness, and darkness could not comprehend it. So the best time to shine is actually when it is dark. I mean, who will see your light when it's not dark? You know what I'm talking about. So as much as the economy is dwindling, that is when it is the right time to actually rise above it. And that is why we are here. That is why we keep telling people about what they need to do to rise above the tides, the economic winds and the tides, you know, of the whole economy. So I really do not accept when people tell me, because of the economy, I am not able to save, I'm not able to invest, I'm not able. I will tell them, no. It is as a result of what the economy is that you should be able to do all of those things. Why? Because you are intending to rise above the tide.
But this sounds like a motivational speaking, exactly. And sometimes motivation.
So we are going to break it down, because leave about motivation. Because I've told you, that's why I told you I have tried it in my own life. I will not be talking about wealth if I haven't tried it. I don't know if you understand me. It's not good. Okay, I may not come here and start bringing my trying, but things I have tried, I'm going to tell you.
Isn't it more challenging in this particular economic situation in Nigeria?
Okay, fine. It is more challenging, especially for every strata of citizens, of our citizens. And so, what I would want to advise is, as much as it is quite tough in every respect, you just begin to check which particular aspect of the economy, which particular aspect of life can I take advantage of to actually grow my finance. I don't know if you understand. And I guess that is why we're here.
Yes.
Yes, that is why we're here. So I would just probably say one or two things. First of all, I keep telling people, how many means of income do you have? Are you still reliant on one means of income? In a country like Nigeria, that there are a lot of things that you can actually do. You get me? There are a lot of things you can actually do that you may not necessarily be required to be licensed like we have abroad. Take, for example, everybody says I am an agent, I'm a land agent. You don't require a license. Do you understand that? Take, for example, somebody say I market cars, I do that. You don't require a license. You can become a teacher without having a teaching certificate. Do you see that? Every one of us, okay, now we have this social media. And they tell us Facebook pays, they tell us YouTube pays, they tell us TikTok pays. And then you are telling, well, I'm just a salary earner. Why are you not using TikTok? Why are you not being paid on TikTok? Why are you not being paid on Facebook? Why are you not being paid on YouTube? It's free. The only thing that you require is data, right? So you just need your salary to just get data so you can produce content for people to consume, and then probably you get a lot of followership. So what do you need to learn? How do I grow my followership? How do I grow my community so that I can begin? Because everything is content. This is something I have found new. So you can say, I don't know the content to share. I don't know the content. No. Sitting at home and just watching TV is content for Nigerians. Do you get that? Nigerians are just looking for what just bring your everyday life. Do you know, just tying towel, going to the bathroom, coming out? You see, the one that gets me, laughing is, what is get ready with me? GRWM. What is that? I see that on don't you see that on Instagram?
Yeah.
Do you see the followers? Do you see the people that comment?
Yeah.
People just post get ready with me while as I go to church. While in service, what do you see people do? They put the camera while they are praising their God. I don't understand me. While they are shouting hallelujah, they just post. So you can't tell me that you do not have content to create. Because you do. If you tell me that you don't have content to create as a young person, you know what I tell you? That means you don't understand Nigerians.
Not everyone is born a content creator, actually.
Guess what? They say necessity is the mother of all invention. I wasn't born a content creator. I don't even like content. But when, like you said, the harsh winds of the economy have started hitting you, what do? You begin, as I said, you begin to find ways. If, for example, our economy is cool, most of us can be okay with one means of income. Are you? Yeah. You just go and I just sit in my office and I earn my salary, and my salary is enough. Why am I not looking for more? But why do we look for more? It's because of the harsh winds of the economy. That's why I say you shouldn't just settle down. Most of us were not born to do what we are doing. Most of us did not even train to do what we are doing. Do you see that? Most of us went to train as medical doctors. What is a medical doctor doing? You get that kind of thing? Yes. Most of us are trained to be engineers, just like myself. What am I doing? Do you see that? So it's everything. Let me tell you, I tell people, like I said, do you know, even if I was not where I'm working or making, there are several places. I would locate the biggest church and I begin to teach in Sunday school. That's the same. You go to church, right? Thank you. Or locate the biggest church. Find where to work in a department. Just make myself visible with 2 people. Begin to teach. You can meet people's needs. Do you get that? I can come very early in church and people park their cars, I clean it. And I just put my number. And I'll wait. When they close church and people are coming, I'll just go and meet some people and say, I cleaned your car. I just felt your tires were dirty. I just had to clean it. What they give you? They give you. But then they give you hand that. It won't sustain you, all right? But you're starting to do something. You now find out that, okay, people come to church with their cars dirty, right? So what do? If I can talk to the pastor, if I can find a small place where I can just open a car wash, so you are enjoying service, and your cars will be driven to the car wash, and I just wash it, you'll be appreciative of that. Do you see that? So we need to settle down and begin to think, how do I actually create wealth amongst the, the only book says, where 2 or more are gathered, I am what? I have changed it with wealth. Where 2 or more are gathered, what happens? There is economy. Economy is created where 2 or more are what? Gathered. That is why if you find where 2 or more are gathered, even if it's a private and focused WhatsApp group, what happens? Somebody wants to sell something. It's either somebody is selling NSPPD, right? It's either somebody is selling their church program, or somebody is selling their website, or somebody is selling, I'm a food vendor, or somebody is selling, I am a hair vendor. Somebody wants to post what they do. Why? Because wherever 2 or more are gathered, there is economy. So what are you doing with where 2 or more are gathered? That place you find yourself. Do you see that? So where 2 or more are gathered, economy is created. Be a part of it.
Wow. I mean, you have changed a little bit of the conversation right now. Wealth creation is very large. I mean, and it's different from persons to persons. Some persons would have funds and they say, you know what, they are thinking of investments in money markets, investments in treasury bills. And that's the only one they know. They don't want all this content creation. Just leave them with this content creation, which I don't know if you have any idea with investment in that space, because these days I'm even hearing that you can even invest in the Nigerian bank using foreign currencies.
Yes.
Like, how does that work? Is it possible? How do you, make money? There was a day I was reading on something and I saw, was it stock I was seeing that a certain stock, if you had invested 1 million naira in January of last year, by December, it would have been over 6 million. I can't remember what particular stock it was, but
Yeah.
it's that humongous,
Yeah.
in terms of investment. So talk through us through the wealth
through all of
creation
that,
through,
yeah.
investment in money markets and treasury bills.
Beautiful. So, most times when I do talk about, well, there are three vehicles that you cannot take away. You cannot take away from. Sorry, you cannot take away from wealth creation. Three very solid vehicles. First of all, you could say money market. The other, the capital market. They are quite different. I'm going to explain. Then the other, of course, you cannot do without real estate. So let's just stay. There are other vehicles, but let's just stay with this. There are other vehicles, of course, transportation, food, and all of that stuff. But let's just stay with these three vehicles because these are my 3-star vehicles.
Oh, really?
For wealth creation, yes.
Okay.
Which everybody in your portfolio of wealth, you should have things like this.
Wow.
So what do I call it? First of all, let's go into the money market. So when you talk about the money market, that is where you talk about your treasury bill, the federal government bonds. And then, of course, there are other things that people may not really be, the bankers' acceptance, the CPs, commercial papers, and all of that stuff. But let's just stay with what people know, which is the treasury bill. Now, in this darkest moment of the economy, in this whole thing, that is when the treasury bills rates went up.
Yes.
Of course, we got treasury bill. We can get treasury bill as high as 20%. Yeah. That was in January. This February, it's got probably gone down slightly to about 18%. You can get about 18% or 19%, between 17 to 19% right now. It just went down slightly. Why? Because inflation went down. In February, we went down from 30-something to 20-something percent. We are currently about 24.
Yeah.
The one for February is not out, but we went down in January. But let's just assume we are at 30-something in January. So you could get treasury bill at between 20 to 21, 22. So we're giving as high as 22. But let's just stay with 20 that we can calculate. What does that mean? What does that translate? Because most times when you use percentages, people don't really understand what it translates to. So when you invest 1 million naira in treasury bill, they give you what? 20%. That 20% means 200,000 naira for 1 year. That's 200,000 naira you're talking about. So that means, now, but for treasury bill, you get your interest upfront. Unlike the fixed deposit and all of that stuff that you get back end. But the good thing about treasury bill is that you are not charged WHT, which is your withholding fund. Why? Because it's a federal government product. And so you cannot be paying tax on the interest that the federal government that you are paying the tax to. Is like double taxation. Yeah. So you don't pay WHT. But for your fixed deposit, you pay your WHT. So you pay your VAT, and because that's the service from the bank, So that I tell people, why don't you do that? That was when the economy was looking as if it's not going to raise its head. So you have that's the money market, you have your treasury bill. So why are you not investing in that? Can you see that? Why are you not investing in treasury bill? So you can actually do that, walk into your bank and ask them that you want to actually invest in the money market, which is your treasury bill. Currently, I think it's still good. It's still 17, though it is still below the inflation rate of 24 that we said, but it's still a good investment. Still a modest, let me put it out, it's a modest investment that you can actually come into. Then the other one is the capital market. Now, the capital market, we're talking about shares. Almost every bank, thank God for the CBN. The CBN mandated all banks in 2 years, from last year to 2 years' time, to go to the market and raise money. In fact, they prevented the banks from raising money abroad. So the banks are mandated to raise money in Nigeria. So how do they raise money? Of course, they need to sell their shares. So when we talk about shares, it's owning a chunk of any particular institution, just a chunk. You get. So you can decide to own, maybe I want to own like 1%. I want to own maybe less than 0.something%. That's the number of shares. That actually translates to the number of shares you have with the bank. And so these banks, they came out with, we saw what happened July, August, even September. Some banks were selling. They went to the primary market to actually raise money. Now I tell people, why is it good to do the primary market? Yeah. In as much as there is also the secondary market when it has to do with shares, with the capital market is because in the primary market, which the banks came out with their public offering. Now, if you are coming out as an institution for the very first time to raise money from the capital market, it is called initial public offering. When you've done that and you're doing it again, it's called just public offering. That is why you didn't hear IPOs, because most banks had IPOs in 1999 when people say the whole thing crashed and all of that stuff. But in 2024, we had public offerings. Now, these banks came out and said they are buying shares. And guess what? They opened it up. Those times you can buy like 1 million. You can buy 2 million at once. But that is the great side of the primary market. Now, if you go to the secondary market, they want to buy 2 million shares of a particular bank or a particular institution, you may not find it as a chunk. You may take a whole month. You can just buy, bits by bits, that kind of thing. So that is why. So if you had money, let me just tell you, one of the shares that we looked at is in one of the banks. Yes, I mean that has even grown. I don't want to call the name of the bank, but there was a particular bank that sold about 9 naira 50 kobo. Currently, that share is doing about. The last time I checked was doing about over 18 naira. That's 100%. So that means if I had invested 1 million, I would be like 2 million. Wow. There's also an oil company that if you had bought last year, they were doing like, I think about 30 something naira. Before December, I'm suspecting that was the company you're talking about. Before December, they grew to 120.
Is it the one though?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I didn't want to, I'm just being careful. I didn't want to mention. They grew to 120, but the last time I checked in December, they were at 60 something. They came down to 60 something. But I don't know what it is, but you can check what it is currently. So imagine if you had invested in that particular share. So we know this, we check. These things are working. Now, people have developed apathy towards the capital market. Why? Because they are still remembering what happened in 1999. Yeah. So I understand the apathy. I understand the fact that you want to get involved. But why are you not getting involved? Because it is looking good. The efforts of the CBN is paying. The efforts because of the regulatory bodies, they are strengthening these institutions. Our institutions are being strengthened. In fact, one of the things we should be proud of in Nigeria is our financial institution, because it's being strengthened. Right now, CBN is taking it to a capital base of about 250 billion for your tier 1 bank. You can imagine. From 25 billion, they are making it 250 billion for your tier 1 banks. For your tier 2, they have their various distant amount, which of course you can Google online. So if we have a bank that is about 250 billion, that is the strong. I think it's either 250 or 500 billion or something like that. So it's becoming stronger by the day. So what does that tell you? Their shares will be highly priced. So it's good to come in. You can say, I just have 50,000. Buy as little as the one that particular 50,000 can buy. Over time, the beautiful thing I like about shares is the fact that you earn dividend. So by maybe if I want to advise someone here, free of charge, if I want to advise you, if you're saying, I don't know the bank to buy, simple. Look for a particular institution that pays dividend twice a year. Institutions pay dividend twice a year. So that is like a starting point. Before I start talking about maybe studying their fundamentals, their financials, and all that. If you're a novice, like I don't know the one, I'll just advise you. Which particular institution you know pays dividend twice a year?
So which one currently pays twice a year?
Should I call names? I don't want to. I'm just trying not to.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So you get. I'm just trying not to. But there are institutions, especially financial institutions, that pay dividend. They pay interim dividend and they pay full year and interim. So those are the things those are the things you like. For you to pay dividend twice a year, tell me that institution is doing well.
Yeah.
Because most institutions I'll just pay you once. Please allow us to work so that we can actually pay this thing. Exactly. So for those that are saying we can pay you twice a year, and they've been doing it over the years, not that they want to start, they are doing it. Come on, start with those. You get that's what I'm saying. Start with those. That's for the capital market. And of course, should we go into real estate? Real estate is kind of vast. So you can say, I don't have money to buy land. What are you talking about? Why can't you become an agent? Start. We have people that said, okay, start saving with us. With over time, what you have saved with us, we'll now use it to purchase a property for you. We know about all of those things. So if you don't have, you can start, become an agent with them, start marketing for them and selling their property. They can actually give you a good deal and say, okay, we're giving you this land from your sales, and the commission we ought to pay you. We'll just use that, instead of paying you, use that commission to actually purchase this particular property. It could be a land, it could be this thing for you. Do you get that? So, and there is a whole, there is a whole value chain to that with respect to real estate. You can come in at any point. If you have so much money, of course, you can buy land, develop, and sell. Or if you just have a certain kind of amount, you could just buy land, wait for it to appreciate, and you resell. You get that is all it is. If you have a property, Pam, you can just say, okay, instead of selling, probably let me just rent it, and you get rental incomes from this. These are several ways you can actually create wealth with these 3-star. I call them my 3-star vehicles of wealth creation. There are so much. Is it transportation? Of course. Is it agriculture? In agriculture, there is a whole spectrum. What do? Raise, if you can do animal, or you can do crop. On the crop, you can say, I want to do food crop or ornamental, or those kind of things. In animals, okay, I want to do food, I want to do the ones that you can kill, or I want to do exotic, I want to do wild. Different. Why are you not doing it?
But some people will say in that environment of real estate, it does look like it's kind of confusing, because when you purchase land today, they say, for instance, 3 million. No, not today, maybe say years ago. And now the land is appreciated to 10 million. That's inflation has killed it out. If you put that same amount in dollars, I mean, you see that it's basically just marginally changed in terms of naira versus the dollar value. And even up until now, that same amount of 10 million naira you know, if you want to go to the market to buy, you can't purchase that same thing that you purchased 3 million.
Now, I like that. Thank you very much for that. Now, so those are the things that people say to actually dissuade some people from investing. Now, but let me tell you, the truth is, you know, we're talking about wealth. When you're talking about wealth, you're talking about a portfolio. I just said, see, build your portfolio, especially with these 3 vehicles. You invest 20% in money market, invest 40% in. It just depends on you. You could do the 60 20 20, you could do the 60 10 30. Anyone you want to do 40, I don't know if you understand me, 30 30, something like that. And say, okay, I want to do 40% in this. When you buy, inflation currently is about, like we said, 24%, 24.88, something like that percent. You get, so you buy a land of 2 million right now. So check the inflation. Do you think inflation in Nigeria can ever go above 50%? Do you think? I don't know. Do you see that? So even if you check the inflation or leave about the inflation, the way I calculate it to just make it easy for the simple man is, if I want to spend 2 million naira, for example, for a land today, ask yourself, which other thing can 2 million naira do for you? For example, let's just put it at the baseline. Maybe 2 million naira can buy 50 bags of rice. Let's just put it that way, 50 bags of rice. Because that is what, you know, in Nigeria, you could just, if you tie amount to food is okay. So let's say 2 million right now today, 2025, can buy 50 bags of rice. Now, I want to buy this land 2 million, and then I probably will sell it in 10 years' time. If you can actually keep this record, in 10 years' time, what will be the inflation? Let's just assume the inflation now goes high to about, say, 50%. The best way to calculate it is, I'm selling it about 10 million now. All right? That 10 million in 2035, can it buy 50 bags of rice? If it can buy, I'm just saying, if it can buy more,
yes.
If it can buy less, then you know that actually inflation killed your money. Do you see that? I don't know if it's understood. So at that point, what do? You now begin to say, okay, should I sell? Because when you sell, you get your capital gain, or when you sell, you can decide to say, can I sell or can I leave it and do another thing with it? So that is why I tell people, instead of just keeping the land, if you can actually rent the land out for maybe mechanics or churches or something, that will be paying you rental income. So that means I'm getting something year on year on that land, probably before I fully decide on what to do with the land. So it still makes sense. I usually tell people, I say, please, if you're going for an asset, always go for an asset that yields you income. Income yielding, I call it income yielding asset, IYA. Income yielding asset, very, very nice. So if I have a property, is it income yielding year on year? Not yet. So I rather rent it. Let me be getting something they call rental income. I better lease it so you can get your lease income. You know, that kind of thing. Or if not, you will not get anything until you sell it, and then that is what we call capital gain. But that is not what I'm interested in. So if you have money now, what asset can I get that will be income yielding? So I tell people, if you want to buy a car, make sure that car is doing Uber. Make sure that car is generating income for you. If you want to get a phone, make sure that phone will generate income. So be focused in an economy like this. Be focused on income yielding assets. Okay. And most times when they ask me, okay, which one can you say? I would say go for shares. You know why? Because they pay you dividend every year. Do you get that? Or go for the money market. You know why? Because at least in a year, if you go for 1 year, they pay you at least 1 year your dividend, your interest. They call it interest, yeah, or your yield. You know that. So those are the things I advise people to do that. Then if you want to go for a physical asset, please make sure if you're going for a physical asset, that asset is actually yielding income year on year, month on month, or something. You are deriving something from that asset. That is when your asset is satisfying. For me, I don't think asset is satisfying when it doesn't give me something I used to run my life. Right. There is something you must use to run your life. So if your asset is not giving something you used to run your life, even if it's just buying fuel in your car or taking care of your health, paying your hospital bills, you need an asset that is doing that for you.
Just 2 key issues before we go, because we're all actually out of time.
Sorry.
Do you advise someone to purchase a house where they would live in? Because I've seen these arguments where people say, don't purchase a house and live in it. Instead, stay in a rented apartment and rent that particular one that you have purchased. That's one. And 2, how much of that is an investment to you? Because you said whatever you have should yield. Because once you're staying inside, it's not yielding for you, even though you're going to pay rent if I thought you're going somewhere else. And secondly, this content creation, it's an investment of some sort, because you don't just start today and start making money. You have to invest for a long time, say 3 months, 6 months. You have to buy a good phone, at least good camera. You have to also have a particular place that is quite fantastic so that you could have the content creation settled. You have to also learn it. You have to also create a niche. I mean, you have to go to a study to know what works for you and what you can practically do. It's an investment of some sort. If you're looking at that, you won't be spending anything less than at least 100 or 200,000 or 300,000 in order to get these things done, at least modestly, you know. So you wonder where would an average Nigerian really get that kind of money to invest and then, you know, start those kinds of things.
Okay, so first, let me come with your first question about, you said something about, just remind me.
Buying a house and living inside of it.
Okay, buying a house and living inside, you see, is a two sides of a coin. Firstly, I'll ask you, before you live inside that house that you've bought, you get, can you run your life without complaining? Like, can you go without complaining? Like you are running your life normally. Maybe you have other means of income that you're using to run your life. If you do not, why live in that house? Do you see that? Because at some point in your life, you must have to live in your own house. If you have grown to a certain point. But before that, you have to be running your life. Like daily life is being run on a daily basis. On a daily basis, you are spending money on something.
So it's not a good thing as a young person to get a house.
Yes, as a young person that you are still coming up and somebody gives you a house or you have money and you buy a house, I would advise you, why don't you put it on rent? So that you can actually, if for example, where you were staying in a 3-bedroom flat or 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, you are paying like a 400,000 or 500,000. And then you can rent that place for 2 million. Financial sense, what happens? Rent and be collecting the 2 million. So you can also use the part of the rent that you're collecting to pay your rent here and use the remaining 1.5 to run your life. Or save, because if you need to run your life, you have to have some savings. So you can save, for example, 500,000 and use 1 million to run your life. Or whatever the case may be. So you check it. But if you check it and say the rent you want to collect from here is 200,000 and the rent you are paying somewhere is 600,000.
Makes no sense.
Thank you very much. So you can see. So it's that's why I say it's a two sides of a coin. You need to check it and check which one is more beneficial to you. Because at every point in your life, you must calculate, how can I mine the best advantage? How can I mine the best advantage for myself? You must be at an advantage point. You must always seek to be at an advantage point so that you don't drown under the weight of this whole economic thing we are talking about. So if I am at an advantage of saying if I rent, I make money, and come on, I think I would advise you to rent. In fact, I've advised someone, I said, you are living in Zoo, for example. Zoo Estate is a premium estate in Enugu. And I said, why are you living in Zoo? You are living in money. So if you're living in Zoo and then you can take care of all of your needs, fine. But if you're living in Zoo Estate and then you are not able to take care of all of your needs, what's the idea? Why don't you sell it? Selling a house in Zoo, nothing less than 500 million, minimum. So you get 500 million. Why don't you go to a decent place, maybe WTC or maybe Centenary? You build a duplex. Highest to cost is about 150 million. You have 350. Take that 350, put it in the money market. You give it 20%. 20% of 350, that's about 7 million. Oh, more than 7 million, but about 70 million. Can you see that? And you have 350. So you have about 70 million. You already built a house that you are staying. And you have 70 million to play around with. What are you talking about? Do you see it now?
It's easier said.
Wow. Well, I'm no. I understand what you're saying. It's not like it's easier said, but I understand.
For you, these are practical things I tell people.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be staying in a mansion and then you are complaining that you cannot put fuel in your car, you cannot pay band A. It's crazy. When I hear those things, it's crazy. Like you are struggling under paying band A, and then you are living in a house of 500 million naira. Think about it. That means you are not supposed to be living in that house. Now, concerning the other question that you talked about, content creation, you are the one that is trying to make it tush.
Right.
Seriously, you're the one that is.
I mean,
Let me
the
tell you.
algorithm will not show your video.
Who said?
If it's not good enough?
Who said so? Do you know, based on what that thing you have said, some people have casual need to go and get an iPhone. I said, what do I need it? Do I need an iPhone? Some people say, yes, you need it for content creation. I said, no, I don't have an iPhone, but I create content. Guess what? You do not need the things that even go, check some of the things that go viral. That's it. Check the background. I don't know what I mean. All those memes that you see, check. It is not so pleasant. It is probably when you just start. Because when you say you must get a good place, choose these things, you will delay people from doing these things. Do not start waiting and then keep crying and begging. But if you tell them that no matter the phone you use, you can grow. Most people that you see, their content is looking awesome with background. They've grown to a certain point that they were able to afford. They no longer use phones. They now use digital cameras. Exactly. Yeah. They now use digital cameras and getting a whole lot of production crew. Now they have production crew. But you could start with you yourself. You are your production crew. So what I tell people is, instead of paying for somebody to edit your videos, just go and learn
How to
Video
how to edit your videos yourself. No, just be learning, do one or two things, do one or two skits, and then just be posting content. By the time you're growing, because it's a building process, like you said. So by the time you're growing, you're getting 1 view, 2 views. Start with Facebook, meet them. You're growing your views. You grow to a community of maybe 1,000. You become something, Abby. And then maybe the money starts coming. People can begin to see your content and begin to gift you things and begin to say, I like your content, I like what you're doing. They can begin to call you. Some people may want to even sponsor what you're doing. I see a boy in TikTok, and just sings about this weekend. Waiting there. That kind of Duncan Mighty song.
Yes.
And then they are singing that song, and then he keeps showing people that are gifting him.
Yes.
Wow, I like this thing that you do. 50,000,
Yes.
20,000.
Yes.
With all those
On-
monies,
on
when you
TikTok.
gather them, you can
It's a
actually
lot
now
of
use and say, let me upgrade my phone.
Yes.
Let me upgrade what I do, and that
Yes,
is it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we should invite you once again, and maybe sometime next week, to discuss more on this wealth creation. It's
Thank
very,
you
very
so
important
much.
because there's a whole lot,
Yes,
the gamut
yes,
of
there
it that we
is.
can talk about. Ifenna Aralu, wealth creation and development expert, many thanks for your insights.
You're welcome.
Really
I
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.